Back with another edition of the Ad Podcast today. And super exciting. We're actually able to bring you a live episode. I'm here in the room with Dan Khabie, who's the one of the founding partners of CourtAvenue, an exciting new agency that he's recently launched. So we're excited to get into that today. But Dan, you've had a pretty exciting career starting Digitaria, I would say back in the early 2000s, I think, or maybe even 99.
Late nights.
Right on.
Dylan, great to be with you, brother.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Yeah, thank you. So do you want to maybe just walk us a little bit through your resume? Like I mentioned, we kind of previewed a little bit of it, but you started Digitaria, and you sold it to WPP. Miriam then was the rebrand of that agency, which you 4X before you finally got off the mothership. So if you want to walk us just a little bit through your background and some of the highlights.
One of 5 kids. My parents are immigrants. I'm actually from the Middle East, from Lebanon.
No way.
And, we moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I grew up as a Midwestern trapped in a Lebanese body. I didn't know any different. We were quite Americanized, right? Yeah. So it was interesting. Growing up, I was in obsession with media. I just love media and I love entrepreneurship. And then I was kind of became my lens on everything I began thinking about. And I ended up going back east, and I came out west because my brother became a orthopedic surgeon for the LA Lakers and LA Kings, LA Dodgers. He did fellowship. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to come out west?" I think West Coast. I didn't think Minnesota were allowed to go West Coast. I thought we had to be snowed in. I didn't think that was allowed. Like, you go east, don't go west. So he's like, "You want to go west?" At this time, my girlfriend and I, which became my wife,
wow,
we're like, "Hey, let's head west." She went. She picked this place called San Diego. I'm like, "San Diego? Where's San Diego?" I mean, I literally have no idea where the place is. And I'm like, "Well, if he's in LA, then we'll just go get the city of LA. We'll head south." So we literally get in our car, we head south, and we head west. And we instead of going to LA, we go down to the border, and we turn around, we go up, we exit the Joel Boulevard, which is the Boulevard, and we literally just with a couple $100 in our pocket, just started our life.
Wow,
and just like I was fortunate because what happened was, I had some job boards going on at my university, and I heard about an opportunity out west for a company that was selling infrastructure called BBM, which was the original kind of ARPANET infrastructure, tech, that whole space. So I kind of learned, the tech world, even though I graduated in marketing and communications, I learned this idea of tech and infrastructure. So I get involved in that world. And it was like laying down the original train tracks of what was the internet. I little do know what it was. And then as I was doing it, I came across this guy, and he's like, "Hey, we build these things called websites." I'm like, "What the hell is a website?" He's like, "Oh no, when you go on the internet, the pipes that you guys are building, it's going to allow us to put content up." And I'm like, "Well, that's insane. That's amazing." I'm like, so then I joined this company building this thing called websites. And I'm working with this company called Inspired Arts at the time. Getting brought Kevin Brand, giving me my first big break. I forever appreciate it to him. And I'm sitting there and I get a call maybe 2 years into the job. So we had a big client at the time, anyone, you need a website. Anyone we had. And I get a call from my brother-in-law. It's like, "Dan, you gotta come out east. You gotta see what I'm doing." So him and a couple of guys had started a company on the East Coast. So I fly back to New York City. And it was like I walked into, to this day, I've never been mesmerized with the moment as I did that day. It was a company called Razor. Digital.
I think I remember hearing you talk about that.
Yeah, I walked in, and that was my muse. I mean, it was that was it. I was totally, I was just blown away because first of all, the guys were super cool. It's super cool. To start there. The environment is unbelievable. You got Leonardo DiCaprio they're hanging out with. They got this going on. These guys are going crazy. We're building websites, but they're building NBC.com. It was night and day from where we were in San Diego. And I didn't understand at the time Madison Avenue. I didn't understand, kind of the agency world and its influence on what we were doing out here. And I became obsessed with it.
Wow.
And at that point, I kind of said, at that time there was no major agency out of San Diego that really made it out of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so
I think Khabie sold to.
It was way before.
That was way later.
There wasn't so I told you about this vision for creating a global digital agency. People were looking at what you're talking about, right? It just didn't happen here because at the time I didn't realize that San Diego is like a third world country for marketing.
Yeah.
But I love being in the city because it kept me away from Madison Avenue, so it allowed me to kind of think on my own. I get influence what they were doing with. It would be a longer playbook.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was my beginning. And at that point, I came back and I go back to the office and like looking around. There's this one amazing designer that named Daiga. And I go, she's from Lot, comparatively speaking. I'm like, Daiga, get you and your husband, guy named Richard, and this guy named Travis. I'm like, we should create a new company. And I remember calling my brother-in-law, to take a look at Daiga's point. Like, she's amazing. He's like, dude, you guys should start a company, and maybe one day Richard will come by you. And I was like, that's amazing. So we go in 1998, we go to a home. Daiga's like smoking dope, like hanging out, we're all chilling out. She's like, okay, I have a name for a company. And she's like, there's this 2 stars, Series A and Series B. And Series B makes Series A goes around Series B and makes that star light up. And we have to be the business of making other people shine. And the name is Series A, the name of the star. Many years later, they called it Digitaria.
Oh, no way.
And
I never heard the origin story.
And Daiga's holding a leaf in her hand as she does that. I actually have a leaf today. And that was the birth of Digitaria.
So wild.
So we launched this company, and like within a week, we're in psychology training. You know, we had no idea. I was 24 years old. No idea how to run a business. I had this booming business over here. By the time we started, they were like talking about an IPO. I mean, like you're so far ahead of me. I'm like, God damn, you know, like what's going on here? And we started on our track. And we started building, Digitaria back in 1998. And you know what happened was a big moment for me is in 2007, 8 years later, we merged or acquired a business called Console, and that was a technology business. We had a design and a front business. They had a tech business.
So now you could do full service, both parts
exactly.
of the digital transformation.
Ran it, had a really good operator in it, really good tech person in it, and a really just good business partner. And we literally moved together. We moved it together. Like, let's just do it. Because we had a great brand in Digitaria, and he just had really good tech. So we merged it together, and then really kind of diversified our offerings. At that point, the tech revolution was happening. So the timing was perfect. We were able to push all the tech work in, design work in, and then we built this company up, and we added some other components to it. And then what happened was, I got to a point, like, we kind of all said, like, how good are we? Like, let's get against the best. Like, how are we going to get there? And I became really obsessed with WP.
Yeah, and your brother-in-law, he sold Razorfish to Publicis by then?
No, they took it public, it was SBI, and I can go on and on the details of it. But at this point, I've hunted everybody.
Sure.
I became totally obsessed with it. Like, there's no one in the industry I didn't know. I knew all the players, everything from Red Sky to agency, everyone else in between. Like, and so I felt like Razorfish started the business. If you go back to Craig and Jeff and those guys, like they were like they're in the music industry, man. Like my brother.
So are you talking about Jeff from M80?
Jeff Dodge is from Razorfish.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, there's another Jeff actually who was in the like a lot of those guys started off guerrilla marketing in the music industry. Yeah. Like Jeff sold M80 to WPP as well, and I remember he told me about like the .com crash. Basically, bands stopped being able to pay their $5,000 retainers in the music industry. Yeah. I was like, crap, I think we're gonna have to start working with brands now. And I remember he mentioned he had turned in his first RFP to Gap, and $5,000 retainer, the same as they used to do for the music industry. And the client called him up and was like, "Hey man, I think there's a problem with your proposal." And he's like, "Well, what's the problem?" It's like, "It's too small. $5,000. They're not going to take me seriously." Yeah. And he's like, well, "What should I do?" Just add a zero. And they bought the proposal.
Well, it's funny because back then, like Jeff and those guys, at your point, like they use this as a mechanism, like the websites and everything, to do their other stuff.
Yeah.
Like they didn't realize at the time how big in the industry, they might have known it. They use a term, I never forget, it's like digital will change everything, like that. Like they didn't realize like today that I'd still be in the business today. Like I don't think anyone thought of it like that. So they would have been multi-billionaires. I mean, they would have been these people, like my brother-in-law, but they ended up, it's a long story.
Yeah.
They ended up having their struggles. But make a long story short, I ended up learning about WP, all the big multinational companies, and I wanted to be a part of WP. So I began moving out to New York every summer, and I got to know where they're coming out, all the things they did.
Wow.
And
so you're that
table. We showed off what we're doing, and they're like, okay, let's do a deal.
That's awesome. Was that pre or post Martin Sorrell? or
it's
during?
all during March.
Okay.
Everything's during March.
Yeah. Totally.
And anyways, that was the beginning. And for me, that was a big moment because when you join the network, you're around every entrepreneur that's done what you've done and have studied everyone. And to be able to sit there and to spend time and ask the questions with some of the best guys and some of the best women that built their businesses, and to learn from them and what they did and how they did it, and the fact that we all got there totally different ways, was amazing to me. Also, it brought me to the world. And learn the global world. And we ended up joining the J. Walter Thompson Network is what we ended up doing. And the reason why is we felt they were the most successful. We felt that we could change its trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
Little did we know that advertising would be dying at the rate it was. No one could ever knew, because we joined them about a $1.7 billion business.
Just by itself.
When we left, they were like,
yeah, they got rolled into Wonderman.
Yeah, I mean, when they were left, honestly, I don't know if they had how much they had left in the books. But so on the inside, I got to know a bunch of the offices and the leaders, the team. I spent a lot of time in New York City, and we can do the vision. This is my moment. This is it. Like, we can start taking over offices. Say, well, if I digitize them, so I get all the clients to change the people. We could be an acquiring firms, and we took over the first office in Minnesota now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it was painful. And I don't know how we turned it around. My partner and I worked on it. We all worked on it to make it work. It was a total blur. But when we turned that office around, it sent a tidal wave through the industry. It sent a tidal wave in our network. And we got calls. People out of Japan, people out of Vietnam. People
wanted to replicate it.
They all wanted to join what we're doing. So we all got together, and a new chairman walks in. His name is Gustavo. He walks in the door. I meet him in Barcelona. He goes, Gustavo, you're going to walk. I'm about to show you the future of your company.
Wow. And
I titled Project Fish, honorary fish. And we presented them what became Miro.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Which was basically a roll-up of 15 core firms and another 10 over a year time. And it was about 2,500 people. And we pitched it. At the time, I had no CEO. I actually didn't know what that meant. I had no idea. Like, it was actually, I just had a vision. And we presented to Gustavo, and he said, Dan, like, do you want to lead this thing up? And I'm like, I don't think I do. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I was very, very nervous about it. I took my wife about it nonstop because I'm a family guy and kids. Like, I don't want to be complaining about the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's a lot of travel.
So it was a hard move for me. And it was funny, even while I was taking the job, I continued to talk to my wife about taking the job. That's how impacted it was. Even I was in 4 years into it, 5 years into it, I was like, every day, should I take this job? You know what I'm saying? It was like that kind of conversation.
Wow.
And we built Miro. And it was amazing for me personally. It was an amazing moment. It was a difficult moment because it pulled me away from clients and it pulled me away from my market, and it brought me all over the world.
Yeah, I think you said in an interview you were the spiritual leader. Like you were really more in the people business at that point, management and setting the culture and the direction, and the tone.
It was fun, but I don't know who that kid is anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know who that person is. I mean, I came on the scene, man, and we rolled like I was just a different person back then, right? I mean, they put me through the ringer. I mean, I was at every event, I was at every big meeting. I privileged information that 99% of the people didn't. I was coaching them, and so I had an amazing experience. I was blessed with around a really good chairman. I had a great experience at MVP, but I missed being on the street. And when I saw him, I saw that first of all, I met some really good people on the inside of WPP. One of them was this entrepreneur named Kenny Tomlin. And he built a company called Monfish, which was a digital shopper business.
Heard him being interviewed before.
I thought I thought to myself, wow, every brand that I was in business with has to become a shopping cart one day. So I need people that know the commerce. And Kenny was one of those guys. And on top of it, we wanted to build technology and software off the back of what we did. And he had a lot of experience. He built up we earned it, then I'm selling to business equity, and I'm like, Kenny, ready to do business. And I always do well about good operators. And Kenny's a good operator. I know what is wrong, but my strength, my superpower is not being an operator. But I've learned to become dangerous, and that's it's even more dangerous. Because if you think you know too much and you're not a great operator, you get a more problem. So I like that. You'll see, I'm not always calling myself a good operator because it creates a lot of tension, and that tension allows us to excel. So I'd like to It's like a mom. So anyway, so all on the inside, did my thing, and I went and told the new chairman, which was Mark Reed. I said, "It's time to move on, man."
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
"How long ago was that?"
This was 2018.
Okay, 18.
And they did a great job of trying to make an opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my experience with WP was incredibly positive experience.
Yeah,
you rarely get to hear that, but for some reason, even through all the turmoil and all the shit, it was an amazing experience, and I don't know if I'll ever have a moment like that again because it all came to us.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed everybody, all my chairman. So like 15 reservations later, I ended up leaving the business, and decided to take a year off.
That's awesome. What'd you do?
I took a year off and just sat there and kind of really asked the question, like, what would happen if I actually had to take time off? Like, what am I going to do when I'm older?
Yeah. Like, what is retirement actually?
Yeah, I'm an addict of people. I'm an addict of business. And it has nothing to do with currency or money. It has nothing to do with just the way my brain works. And I don't know if I think,
mm-hmm.
My wife would be like, "Oh, again, I'm getting into yoga." And like, with yoga, like, "Oh my God, let's create a global yoga." I can't help. Our friends would come over and be like, "Oh, I just need some makeup." Oh my God, I got a great distribution model for it. Awesome. I mean, my brain is like,
turn it off.
I don't know. It's funny. I definitely have an illness. Like, I mean, it's funny because it's really not money motivated. And I think for me, it's personally like, I like just showing that you can do amazing things.
Solving problems.
I feel really fortunate and blessed throughout my life. And I feel really blessed to be able to contribute where I've helped people.
Yeah.
And you get to make tough decisions along the way. Hurt people, they hurt you, you grow together. But that's life, right? So like, you're not going through those emotions. You're not living. And I think I missed during that year off. I missed those emotions. I missed the roller coaster.
Is that when you also became a professor? When you started teaching?
No, that was before that.
Yeah,
doing that stuff. But like, I'll never forget. I'm walking my wife like 8 months. Like after eight months into it all, and we're hanging out, and she like looks at me. She goes, "Damn, I think it's time." And that was like a rocky moment. Like literally. I'm like, "What, can I go now?" It's like I feel like I took so much in a relationship because she had to take care of kids, and I come back as much as possible. I consider myself like an impactful dad, but you also don't do missing things.
Yeah, the wives always. My wife was nice enough to retire from the business. She actually worked with you guys in the Digitaria days. She was at an agency called the UXB down in NJ Goldston. Yeah, so she was the account exec on that business. So we were just reminiscing about that before I came over here. Yeah,
she's amazing. Great story.
Totally.
But it's interesting. Like that moment was a moment. Like my wife said that, and I never forget. I go into our third-car garage, a little garage, where there's like hot as shit, no air conditioning, shit everywhere. I wake up at 4 a.m. I go in there and I move all the shit out. And I tell my kids, I said, we're going to have a delivery person coming in an hour and a half. Keep it or it's gone.
Wow.
And I go in there. The next day, I had a guy come in that whiteboarded my entire garage. And I took it back to this old shitty desk. And I sat there in this garage with white walls. And I had the kids come in and write a quote. And I realized that my kids were too young. They'd never seen me build a business. There's nothing greater that I can do is to bring them along the journey and watch me build a company. And it's to understand it.
That's pretty
cool.
So
I wanted them to be a part of this journey. And I sat in the garage with a pen in hand, quotes all over the walls, and I began writing down my ideas. And I sat there. It was my healing. I think part of my dad passed away. I just looked at my job. Like I really kind of put some level of user identity in the process.
Yeah, I know a lot of entrepreneurs. They sell the business. It's impactful. Everybody thinks like, oh, for you, but the reality is a lot of your like. I remember I went to Cannes for the first time a few years ago, and my friend had just sold his company Jukin Media for like $150 million, like pretty big cash exit. And he was at Cannes. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing at Cannes? did you just sell your company for like $150 million? He's like, yeah, but this is where all my friends are. Like, what am I going to do? Like, not hang out, So, yeah, I imagine for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's hard to, once you sell the business, that's, kind of you're in this role and you're traveling and your identity gets very blended with what you do when you're at those highest levels that you've achieved.
Yeah. And it's not even like levels of achievement. I think for me, it's like, I care about, it was interesting the other day, I was walking by a guy, I've walked by him like 15, 20 times, and I stopped and I said, hey, I've walked by you like 20 times, I've never stopped and introduced myself.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Dan, nice to meet you. And he was a homeless guy.
Oh, well.
And we had a whole conversation, and I learned a tremendous amount about homelessness. And then the following week, I ended up in the, like working at Father's House.
No way.
And actually be down there and actually see my stuff. So I don't care about what levels and titles. And I think WP threw me into that world. It threw me into the world of like a certain thing. And I'm a street kid, man. I want to go out there and learn. I want to go out there and digest. And everyone here contributes to everything and everybody. And you should never, ever hold yourself higher than another person. Mm-hmm. And so for me, starting off in that garage, in that heat, sweating my ass off, being there was my way of institutionalizing this. Because I learned how to become a corporate leader, and I had to retrain myself how to become an entrepreneur again.
Wow. And
I needed to go find that inside of it because I lost it. And that was a moment for me to sit there and really try to find myself and dig through it. Tears, I also feel like tears in my eyes, but tears in my hand. And that's how I did it.
That's crazy. So how long did it take you to go through that process and come up with CourtAvenue?
It took a while. It took a while because what I ended up doing was I brought it in. It was really great. It was really fun to watch people. I had all these different ideas on board, whether it was biotech, different industries, see kind of push myself outside of my box, what I love doing. And I was just loving the industry. Mm-hmm. So it was that was my passion. But I forced myself. Okay, let's look at this. And I brought in people that I knew that had expertise in it. It was amazing. So what I do was I'd send everyone a free menu, and I'd cook them breakfast. My wife and I would work together to cook breakfast. And they'd walk in this garage, and they're all dressed up in these beautiful offices. Yeah. They're like in suits, and it's hot as shit, like 99 degrees. There's no air conditioning. It's like a nice place. They walk in and they're confused as shit. Like, what is going on here, right? And they're looking around this board, and they're like, okay, well, what are you doing over there? I'm like, don't worry about it.
Sounds like a beautiful mind or something.
Like tell me about that. Tell me what you think about that. Yeah. Tell me what you think about that. And so we kind of drilled down, and at some point I brought Khabie in. Khabie and I connected, and he comes to me. He's like, man, he goes, everything you're saying, I've been thinking about the same thing. And he's like, he goes, yeah, there's this guy in this small town of Ohio. He's the first road I've ever got. And the physical distance maybe didn't pay for the actual distance did because of the paved road. And if you think about some of the greatest technologies in the world have been built on this idea, this notion of saving time between 2 points. Because we should get a business shortening this 2 points, leveraging technology and strategy to that. And every major road in major cities, the first road, they named after one street in Ohio. They named that street called CourtAvenue.
Oh, interesting.
And when he said that to me,
that was it.
And I'll tell you something. Here's a crazy thing. You go back and you look at we put together in that garage because we always show it. So close to where we had it.
You saved all those whiteboards.
Oh, we got everything.
That's great.
And so that's how we built CourtAvenue, right? And then at that point, I always say, your credit, your integrity is your credit. Mm-hmm. And now the question is, can we bring all our clients back?
Yeah.
And Gray went out there, and COVID started in 2020.
Yeah, I heard you guys launched a month before COVID.
Yeah,
good timing.
It was really interesting because you're dealing with that psychology of holy shit, I don't have to.
There's a lot of fear.
You're already getting through the part of can you do it again? Let alone you get a major issue. This is the first time in my life where I used the F word, the failure word. It was the first time in my life that word was in my even ether.
Wow.
I'm like, wait a second, man, we got a problem because we had hired people. Kenny and I are coming out the gate. We don't have MSAs. Yeah. You think people are looking to find new agencies during COVID? They're going to survive.
Right. That's a crazy time to be
running
a business.
So make a long story short, they ended up integrating Miriam into Wonder Thompson, and we benefited from that. We got a call, and then we got into a big situation with Khabie, and we won that. Nice. And then we won a bunch of other stuff, and Next thing you know, we're 130 people. When it crashed for agency and we're the NASDAQ board.
That's insane.
And
That's
it's
awesome.
still like we haven't done anything yet.
Yeah,
So
just getting started.
we're just getting started. So I think that for me, failure and success are forever tied together. And I measure my failures when I measure my success, because my failures I'm trying. And I like tough economies. I like when things are hard. So as we enter this zone, this new world we're living in, where media is changing, consumers are changing, buyers are changing, AI is ravaging our industry, people are consolidating. We're dealing with a rogue street fight out there. And it's going to impact our business and everyone else around us. And so we have built something called Collective, which is where we start acquiring businesses and work with
your own holding company model now.
We got a little thing running, and we got some seeds we're planting, and we're trying to be the next great American holding company.
I love it. Well, Dan, I want to be respectful of your time, or your assistant's going to kill me.
Yeah.
I honestly asked you 3 questions that I had today, so we definitely need to come back and do a part 2 if you'd be up for it. But so excited to see what you have accomplished and what you guys are doing at CourtAvenue. Who are watching at home, if you enjoyed my conversation with Dan today, don't forget to subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening at home. And then if you were to give us a 5-star review, that helps us find more people. Or if there's somebody in your network that you think would enjoy my conversation with Dan today, please don't forget to share to them. And I'm going to guarantee you there is going to be a part 2 with Dan when he has a little more time to sit down and go through some more discussions. All right. Well, Dan, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Thanks, bud.